What's going on, motherfuckers? So today we're going over the workout plan for the rest of this summer, which I've already kind of been doing, and for next semester. So morning cardio during the semester. It'll be whatever I do during crew. So that'll be a good 5-6 a.m. workout. And then right now I'm doing 4 miles overall, 2 miles running, so 1 mile on, 1 mile off, 1 mile on, 1 mile off to this park and back, and then a bike ride for 30 minutes, trying to keep the heart rate up. All of this is more for endurance, and I just kind of suck at running. So that'll be every day 6 a.m. and then we move on to the upper body day. So this is the upper body day I'm doing now. The upper body day that is calisthenics, and the upper body day that is not made for power, made for strength and endurance. So right now we're doing 5 rounds of push-ups, pull-ups, and body squats. I got 10 push-ups, 5 pull-ups, 15 body squats. So that's 50, 25, 75. That's the start. You can warm up going into this, but all these are pretty functional as long as I kind of get a little sweat on beforehand or just get that blood pumping a little bit. It's really all that matters. These are pretty, especially with no weight, these are pretty functional movements. And then my rows, moving into that, you can use, obviously if you have any type of weight or resistance that you can do. For me, I'm just going to go to the lowest bar I can find and just pull my body up. If I can, I'm going to try to get my feet up, try to get more resistance with the body weight, or hook my legs around another bar if you're doing if you got the dip bars around. And then that, just a 3 for 10, just good strength. After that, it's the single arm tubing crossbody fly. So instead of coming just to the midline, you're really trying to come across the body using all of that horizontal adduction. So this is we're doing 4 reps, 3 times 15, and then after that we're moving on to the shrugs. For this I'm using my tubing. That's a 3 times 8, and then we're supersetting that with eyes. We're doing the eyes for the low traps, T's for the mid traps and rhomboids, W's for the entire shoulder girdle, posterior shoulder girdle, including the rotator cuff. So that's all going to be for endurance, because those are all endurance muscles. So we got that for 3 times 15. Moving on from that, we can either do the shoulder press or an incline push-up. The incline push-up you can just do, feet on the bench, and then just fucking go. Or the shoulder press, you can use the tubing. Or if you can do handstand push-ups, that's great. I can't. So with that, we have a 3 times 8, trying to get more strength in. And then we're going to superset that with tricep kickbacks. This I like most with cable, but you can use tubing, 3 times 15, get some endurance in those triceps. And then we're going to finish that off with a little bit of high intensity cardio. With that, we'll be doing the agility ladder for 15 minutes. Next, we're going to have just a straight up calisthenic day. Something just so I can practice getting my muscle ups back. It's something that I really wanted to bring back. I feel like it's a good indicator as to how strong I am, and making sure that I'm not overweight and that I'm not losing the strength, power, and the upper body strength that I have since my training comes from mainly calisthenics and Ninja Warrior. So with that, we have a 10-minute warm-up. We're making sure that we're adequately warmed up to move into muscle-up practice. So with that, making sure that we're not just coming in cold, and it's a pretty dynamic movement. Lots going on. So definitely want to go into that well prepared. So our goal with the muscle up practice is really just to increase reps and trying to get fluidity between each rep, and not having to break and pause and drop down and not just do 1, 1, 1, being able to move back up into those 5, 10 per set. Then moving on from that, dip bar. So beyond just doing dips and just getting better at being able to do that, I want to practice transitions. So any type of transition, if it's coming up, around, and over, or if it's just coming down and moving into things like front levers or planches on it, whatever that is. So after we're done doing that, then it's just core specific. So specifically trying to perform the planche. Obviously, it's going to have to be modified, or performing the front lever also modified. So plenty of modifications you can look for on that. Specifically, I'll probably repost something that my friend Marcus does. He's been doing a lot of great things with himself and the calisthenic community, specifically in Arizona and also back here in New York. And then finishing that off, we'll be doing some agility ladder exercises, as well as some jumps, some plyometrics at the end. Really a dynamic day there. So moving on from that, we have our lower body calisthenic day. With this, again, 5-10 minute warm up, and we're moving into the single leg bench jumps. So that it's kind of like a lunge, but it's the step up onto the bench, and then from there it's the explosion up, and then it's controlling the eccentric back down. You don't want to just hit the floor or hit the bench. You want to be able to come down, minimize even the amount of sound that you hear, so really be able to control your way down and catching yourself. So that's in a circuit, along with lateral lunges. So just moving back and forth. One leg stays straight, the other leg comes down, and you're moving back and forth, really trying to get the stabilization from the glute medius on the side. And then after that, a single leg glute bridge. So now using the glute max, again the glute med, as well as the core. So that's going to be done in a loop for 5 rounds, 10 reps, depending on how long it takes. Probably going to take me about maybe 2 minutes. So 2 minutes on, maybe a minute and a half, plus or minus 15 seconds rest. Straight leg deadlift. So here, at my park specifically, they have a bench that's right next to a low bar that's connected to the ground. I'm going to wrap it around that and then be able to still do my straight leg deadlifts. So hopefully that ends up being something applicable to other people. But if not, there are different things that you could do for your hamstrings. You could do you could get some type of towel at home and do curls on the floor while doing a glute bridge. I'll be able to post more variations on that. Then you have your squat jumps. That's a superset. So from the straight leg deadlift into the squat jumps, pause at the bottom, really focusing on the not using the stretch, shorten cycle, just coming down, pause, up, back down, pause, jump, and so on. So that would be 3 times 8 with deadlifts, 3 times 10 with jumps. Plyometrics, we have an in and out, jump over the bench, jump back, in and out. We got that for 3 times 5. And then we have a jump off the bench, so drop off. So you're just hitting the ground, you're jumping over whatever you have in front of you, whether it's a hurdle or whether it's a bench, whether it's a bar, whatever it would be. And then a single leg land. So that'll be same thing, 3 times 5. And then to finish it off, we'll start off with a burpee. We're probably going to do that for 5. So we'll do 5 burpees. Move into the agility ladder, variation of things we could do, agility drills we could do with that. And then moving into cones. So it'll be, you finish the agility ladder, and then you have 1, 2 in front of you, and then a row in front of you, so the 1, 2, and then a row behind that, 1, 2, 3. So all of these will be different colors. So it would be nice if it could be a reaction drill, someone else calls it out. So you have like blue and orange in front of you. So they say blue. And then the next row is purple, green, yellow. And then they say yellow. So you run to yellow, then you shuffle across. So if they say, if it was purple, green, yellow, they told you go orange, yellow, or they tell you orange, green. And then if you go into the middle, they tell you, they either point left, right, adding to the shuffle. Or you could do that even at the ends, but whatever makes you happy. So that really just focus on some agility. You could also throw a ball at them and shit like that. You know, tons of fun stuff you could really do with that. And then leg day at the gym. Anytime I get into a gym, it will be leg day. So with that, this isn't my workout. This is my stolen variation from Calisthenics, from his perfect workout, so you can find that. So with him, he starts off active warm-up, obviously, never coming into anything cold. So you go squats, 4 sets, 5 rep max, 5 rep max, 10 rep max, 25 rep max, really getting the burn in, really getting some endurance in. Then you go into the glute ham raise. So that, even if you have the low back, it's not a machine, it's like just the piece of equipment. You put your feet in, you have the hip hinge over at the end, it's kind of on a slant. So with that, I like keeping it lower so that I have to still engage my my hamstrings to contract, and then from there you go over and you really focus less on the low back, keeping the back straight, and with that you're really contracting. You have a good isometric contraction from your hamstrings, and then being able to work the glute max. After that, we have the dumbbell split squat, or you could do lunges, either or. So for that, you have the 2 sets of 10 to 12 rep max. So with him, he was explaining having a straight back, and then being able to do a bit of you're not leaning over, you're kind of just anteriorly rotating the pelvis, getting the stretch more on the glute and the hamstring, so being able to go from a quad dominant with the high to the low, which is the lean over, to be more posteriorly dominant. And then after the 2 sets of that, you have 1 set of failure of the plyo hop, so just single leg plyo hop. You go down, you hop as many times as you can, and don't stop till you can't. Moving on from that, we have the dumbbell adductor lateral lunge, 2 sets of 10, so you're just going back and forth, just like in the lower body calisthenic day lateral lunge. You're just moving back and forth. One leg stays straight, you coming down on the other leg, making sure you're in a good position the entire time, and then coming back up, pushing over, and moving over. After that, band around just above the knees, and you're doing monster walks. So that you're really going on like a I gotta say, maybe like a 30-45 degree angle out and forward on each leg, really working the adductors, so you can do that forward and backwards. Then finishing, we have calf raises or jumps. Calf raises, we have a good 3x10, and then jumps, we have 5x5, because every man in the world needs to work out their calves. So last but certainly not least, we have core. I spelled exercises wrong, but it's all good. So core, we're going to start off on the dip bar, and if you have the thing where you can kind of put your 2 arms in the 90 degree, you're back on the pad, and it's kind of like you do the knees to chest, something like that too. That'll probably have the dip bar attached to it. If not, all you need is the dip bar. So with that, we're doing 2 motions. So arms locked to 90, and for 1, it's going to be it's hard to explain, but kind of like a tailbone raise. You're trying to get, so you're starting with arms locked, body down, and then what you're doing is where your tailbone is, you're trying to get that to the ceiling. So your upper body, your torso is going to contract, and then you're really going to be trying to pushing your hips towards the ceiling, but you're not using your legs. Just focus on like I said, just focus on where your tailbone is, getting that to the ceiling. I'll have a video on that, but we'll just say that's tailbone raises. But then that is superset with the knees to chest. That'll be 3 times 10. And then after that, if you're at a gym, I really like doing the God, I forgot what it's called. Is it the Jefferson? Okay, well, it's not the Jefferson because that's the deadlift or a squat, whatever you want to say. But with this, you're trying to work the erector spinae. So with this, it'll be the same piece of equipment that you're doing the glute ham raise on, that you're hip hinging over. But with this, you don't really want to add that much weight. So you're going from, you're doing the spine extension. So with that, you're on the piece of equipment, you're leaning over, and then with this, you're allowed to curl your spine, you're allowed to flex your spine, and what you're focusing on is controlling the way down, and then coming up and having the extension throughout the lumbar and thoracic spine. And then this, you can do a 3 times 10, and then you can superset this with Superman's, which can be 3 seconds on, 1 second off for 30 to 45 seconds. So with this, we have our abs worked out in the beginning. We have our quadratus lumborum and the spinae erectors in the next, and then now we'll start moving towards abdominals. So with this, we can do the Russian twists. Specifically with this, I'm going for time. We're doing 3 times 30. But with this, you're not just worried about getting as many taps on each side. You're trying to control your way down, control the touch, come back over, control the touch. It's not about how many reps you get in, it's about getting the quality reps in. That's something that was taught to me by Jay. Shout out to Jay. He's a very experienced, very accredited source of mine that works at the Stony Brook gym. Great guy, and he was specifically someone that told me that you want the quality of the reps for core, not the quantity of reps for core. And if you do it that way, and you work on the contraction, and you work on doing reps the right way, and doing reps under controlled, then you'll really feel the difference. So we have Russian twists, and then if you have, I love the med ball toss to the side, so rotational. Each side can be a 3 times 8. If you don't, you can always, instead of a med ball, you can use tubing, and you can just push your way and do the rotation. You can either stay in an athletic stance and just move and just rotate side to side, or especially if you have the med ball, you can twist, turn, and even turn your whole body and get a real athletic movement out of it. If you're just beginning it, just focus on being in a good stance, having the med ball, and just throwing it to your side, or the tubing to the side. So now you have the anterior, the posterior, and the lateral sides, and now we need a nice finisher. And obviously there's nothing better to finish off a workout than with traditional planks. Planks pretty fundamental for me. I'm having 2 times whatever you could obviously try to get towards 1 minute, but if you have to do a 30-second, do that. 2 sets of that, and then 2 sets to failure. And then that really shouldn't take you too long. You have tailbone raises, knee to chests, then you have your spine extensions with your Supermans, then your Russian twists with your med ball tosses or tubing rotations, and then you finish off with your 2 planks for a minute and then your 2 planks to failure. That's about it. So we've got our upper body calisthenic day. That's gonna stay the same for now. The lower body day, which will stay the same for now. Eventually I'll probably get into in maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 months I'll probably switch up the leg day and the for both calisthenics and weights, and I'll probably move that more into a deadlift, try to work on that. But right now I'm just trying to work on the squats and trying to work on getting overall stabilizers incorporated. And then the core exercises, I think that's pretty solid because you have anterior, posterior, medial, and then also an isometric hold. So I'll probably end up doing tutorial videos for all of these, and yeah, stay tuned, motherfuckers.